Benner Romero, and I'm a part of Team Jadeite, and this is our adventure project. Starting off, we'll be in my level, which takes place in a apocalyptic neighborhood filled with a bunch of ruined buildings and even structures that will appear later. Going around this building, as you can see, there's a lot of ruined buildings outside, and I'm very proud of the way it actually turned out with all the foliage all on the ground and all over the buildings. And over here, the player will jump up, and those vines that are hanging from the balcony are an indicator for the player to jump up there. Moving forward, something else I'm very proud of is this small little glass greenhouse. Over here, the player will pick up the axe and they'll go up to the gate, and the player will essentially break the lock to progress through the level. Here we are put in a forest area with a small campfire, and as the player progresses through the forest, they will realize that the forest isn't completely green. Falling down here, as you can see, we have a completely dead forest filled with rocks and other abandoned structures. Something that happened in this area when I was developing was I had some other dead trees that I put in its place. However, their material wasn't functioning, meaning I had to completely replace the trees, and for these new ones you see currently in the video. And I frankly think that they actually turned out better than intended, and it allowed for more room for structures like the castle walls and gates. Moving up, as you can see, the player progresses through a tunnel and on kind of an undergroundish railway, as you can see, with rocks all over, having it all cave in. Over here, for the train carts, I had to make each and every one of them by hand, and I'm very proud of the way they turned out as well, because that means I was able to choose how detailed they were and what type of trains that they were. As you can see, some of them hold rocks in them and some of them are passenger cars. Moving up from there, as you can see, there's a little more foliage along the sides, and here we have more vines as breadcrumbs for the player to jump up and to progress through the level. Here is the warehouse where some of the train carts are stored, and that leads to a ship dock that would bring the supplies for the trains. As you can see, it's all abandoned and rusted over, and on the end you have a boat that leads into the next segment that was created by Nathan Turner.
I'm Nathan, and my level setting is on an abandoned ruins on an island. The player will have to traverse through a forest right here and a mountain path before they can discover the ruins or get them in view. Here, the player will start jumping up and grabbing the wooden logs there, and this will teach the player that those wooden beams is what they need to use to actually mantle onto the different pathways. And the cobblestone path here, that's clearly broken up and not well kept, is sort of the golden path for my level that the player will have to follow. It's also a giveaway, so in case if they try and stray from the golden path, it's easy to find it again whenever they need to. Here, the player is able to finally find the temple, and then they'll have to traverse the destroyed mountainside to try and get to it. Here, the cobblestone path is remade to help encourage the player to continue going to it. And then after they catch sight of the ruins here, they'll need to discover the hidden door here, marked by the 2 lights. Once inside the temple, they will need to find the key in a chest, and then they'll need to use that to unlock different trapdoors to finally get out of the temple. Designing the inside of the temple was quite fun for me, because I've never done anything like that before, and the second trapdoor here leads to the underground cave that will lead to the level end and let the player escape from the temple. here we have an abandoned cottage that was interesting to design. It's pretty barren because it's been abandoned and there's nothing in there left of value. And here the player discovers a boat on a dock that will lead to the next level that Tristan will now describe.
Hello, it's Tristan, here to describe my level as Nathan, handed it off to me. So, you get off the dock, you get off the boat onto the dock, and you go down to this low area to see the high mountains that you eventually have to climb. Well, one of them. You can look over to a cozy bench, but of course you have to climb the mountains. Now, initially spent a lot of time landscaping it, and well, as you can see, the landscape is still there, but I ended up putting rock assets over them anyway. And, I mean, I'm glad with how it turned out. I think they both look good. There we go. So, have this broken bridge I added pretty early. I always really like the broken bridge. It's small, but I just enjoy it. So I used, initially these areas had a bunch of grass. I couldn't exactly place a grass asset on rocks. Well, I mean I could have, but I just used this moss rock and it worked out well. So here we have the cabin. It looks a little differently than what I had imagined, but it still turned out well with the assets I got. I like the little small things. And here we have the drop. Now, before this class, this drop was just straight to the bottom. But I added some gameplay, and it definitely helps. Here we're coming up to one of my favorite parts I made. The lights kind of show you, but here's a checkpoint that hints to something more being down there. Now, actually, those assets, those boarded assets, they don't actually have a collision in the hole, so I had to sort of remake that asset by hand with other invisible blocks. So the actual boards, they don't have collision, but it's the other blocks that cover it up, so it seems like it does. So here we have the mines, another part that I changed from the initial because it was way too boring in the beginning. I'm definitely glad I changed it because now it doesn't feel like a walking simulator. There was some trouble with the amount of assets, but I managed to shrink it down, and it wouldn't say it really affected the level much. So here we have one of my favorite parts of the candles, building up to something, and the columns, another big part. And here we are, the temple. I was initially worried about what I would do with the temple, with the assets we had, but then I just decided, you know what, I'll try it, and it went good with the assets we had. I was hoping for more, but I realized I didn't need more. Exit. Another part, I'm glad the assets worked out. Got a little landscape here. Look out to the other people's levels and and the end of mine. Those big things. So, you see those boards. They were initially just a wall, but then I thought it would make more sense to, break down boards with a sledgehammer, even though you can break down walls. A lot easier to break down some wood boards, and I think it looked cooler anyway. Here we go. See, there we go. Not everyone's made that jump. So we're coming up to the end and the beginning of the next person, Jacobs.
Hello, I'm Jake Cairo, and I'm the level designer for the skyscraper level on TeamJadetie. I made this level because I thought making a city level would be a novel concept, and I took some inspiration from the game Mirror's Edge due to its gameplay focus being on parkour. More specifically, parkour on and across building tops. As you can see, I wanted to fill this area in. I added some like urban greenery and some benches, just make it like a nice hangout spot. And moving over to this area, it's like a small dining area, but the player is led by these lights. One of them broken. And a suggestion I was given was to add this ramp because originally it was a jump across from that first building all the way down to this hanging spot on the side of building 2. But the instructor suggested make sort of like a scaffolding on the side, and I think it definitely made the level better. And originally the city was a lot more, I guess for lack of better terms, just higher up. It was a lot of like high rises, and it was scary to look down. So I made it a flooded city to put it more in line with the previous levels. And a couple suggestions I got to improve this area was making the cubicles larger, and that key I was suggested to make the light brighter so it would appear more easily to the player from there, and this light as well is brighter. And these lights lead to the doors in this section. A cosmetic suggestion was to add some rubble there due to this broken staircase, and it helped make it make more sense. As we go in here, you can see a bunch of chairs thrown about because of this massive cave-in on the top of the ceiling. And as we walk up here, you're gonna see how you're climbing on top of this gigantic skyscraper. I'm very happy with how the window placements turned out. I definitely think it looks like a modern skyscraper, and as you can see, there are some lights left on that kind of helped guide the player. As we keep climbing, you'll be able to see a bit of a view of the city and some of the other landscapes. As we get to the top here, you kind of see I had some inspiration from like the Empire State Building with the large like tower on top. And as we move into this level transition, I thought it would be cool to have a fallen building and the player would slide down, and I think we did well connecting it between my level and Darmic's. As you can see, just missed a small slide. We'll get back there. But otherwise, I think it turned out quite well. I think it's a very like scenic area and gets the right idea across. And now as we move, we're going to transition into Dharma Craftrouse level, which will be the last of this adventure project.
Hello, so I'm Dharma Kirapa and I'm a designer for this level. Oh, that's
that's a bad one. Okay, that's the the last building over there. That was like technically my level start. So you just jump from some buildings from. So that was like a kind of transition between mine and Jacob's level. The main inspiration that I gained from for my level is I wanted to make something that should be like more of into buildings with block meshing, more of into buildings or exploring different buildings. So that's why I made it seems like that. And here, like for this is my level start, and I don't want to add that much of breadcrumbs that we, but it was clearly visible that how you're supposed to follow the path. There are some like shortcuts to get in from one part to another. And I had really fun making this material, especially the glass one, and like that glass material I made all by myself. And rest material, some of them was like I made by myself, and especially this concrete one. So I have a really funny story about this. I got this material, like actually got a picture of concrete, and then I made material out of that. I didn't hope that it will go this fine, but it was working good. And this is the entrance of my focal point. So like you jump from this is like kind of mental asylum. Okay, sorry about that. So this is a mental asylum I wanted to make it look like, and I added some assets related to it. This is more of a exploring sort of level instead of just going through one place to another. I wanted to make it look visually appealing besides just exploring stuff. And yeah, a key for my lever. And now you will find the actual lever. For lever, I wanted to make it like look more of like different door, not just a normal door opening or moving platform. That's why I made it kind of lid, and as you can see, the screen light is pointing you to go open this, and that's like second story of a building. And this is I had really fun making this building especially, and the main thing I'm proud of is you're gonna see it right now. So as you can see, this jail, this was like empty space. I was just trying to add some walls, but I got some suggestions, like cosmetic suggestions, to add some visually appealing things. That's why I added kind of torture room over there, and I wanted to make it look like abandoned, and I think like I did a pretty good job in doing that. Especially at this point, like I had a bit problem with transitioning from second story to the first story, but now like that worked really well, the outer thing, and that was working for me. This is like reception area of this whole mental asylum. You can see some photo frames, some monitors with a proper reception and waiting area. I wanted to make it look nicer, and yep, that seemed out to be good. Especially this latch cream, I wanted to add some breadcrumbs, and I added that X, which directly points that you have to latch cream from that, or not directly but indirectly. And as you can see, this slight ridge. Earlier there was no ridge; there was like straight up walking. But I got a feedback from professor, and like from him side, he said that to add a ridge so that player can able to navigate through that path instead of just falling into some terrain. And I had really fun time making this bridge. There's just a single studding mesh that has been used in the bridge, but like even after designing it, it does not look that weird in comparison of single studding mesh. And this is yes the end of my level. Here you can see the adventure campsite. Earlier it was supposed to be a hut that was eventually in my level, but to do the transition, we added the campsite. So this is our whole project from Team Jedi. Thank you.